I'm so happy and excited we managed to put three experts in learning and AI together, and I'm now welcoming all of them. Matt, you already know. Matt, are you doing okay so far? Nothing has changed
I'm doing
much?
great. No, yeah, I'm still here. Yeah.
Good. Perfect. Thank you so much for staying with us. Heidi, how are you doing? All good?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. I've been waiting for this panel discussion actually for quite some time because this is a, moderation challenge to have such three bright minds all together and let them shine at the same time within a very limited time frame. So I'm excited. All right, Taras, how are you doing?
I am fine. Nice to meet you, Chris, today.
Yeah, lovely to see you again, Taras. So, if everyone is all right and get ready to start, I'll probably begin by just asking you a few quick warm-up questions. And I welcome our dear participants, our attendees, to also join this tiny little session of a Q&A. So this will be not only for our dear participants of the roundtable, but also for you guys, our attendees. We have around 300 people watching this live right now, so I'm really looking forward to your input. And the first thing I want you to do, guys, is to think about the Roman Empire. Right? So if somebody is not aware of this joke that's been heavy on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and social media, no worries. You can Google that later. But I want you to guys think of the Roman Empire and play Roman emperors a little bit. Do you guys remember what they used to show to their gladiators to define their destiny? Do you remember they had either this or that, right? Okay, so I welcome you to exercise this Roman emperor skills right now. I'll be asking you quick questions, and in order to facilitate that nice and lively, I would like to ask you to show me this if you agree, and this if you disagree, or if the answer is no. All right, let's get started. Do you get me clearly? Are we all good with the rules? Super, fantastic. All right. So quick question to all of you guys, to the participants and the attendees. So also feel free to leave your thumbs up and thumbs downs as an answer to my questions. First is, have you ever been concerned that artificial intelligence might take over your job? All right, we have 2 no's and 1 yes. All right, interesting. Thank you very much. I see a lot of thumbs up in the Zoom chat. And now let's see what the audience take is on that. Well, we have about 50-50 so far. A part of our audience, around 50%, says yes. And well, now it's changing a little bit, and we're having more and more people who would say, no, we are not scared it might take over our job. Well, those are really brave people. They are not scared of anything. Very good to hear that. Next question is, have you ever utilized AI to generate content without verifying its accuracy? Let's be honest. All right, we have 3 out of 3 saying no. All of our dear gurus have utilized AI to generate content only verifying its accuracy. All right, let's see what the result will be for our participants. Oh, look at that. We have an audience of perfectionists. 82% say they never do that. They always verify the accuracy. I really hope that that's the case. And let's say, I'll take it as it is. Let's say I believe that. All right. And question number 3 is, have you ever thought that AI could potentially lead to a scenario similar to the Terminator movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger? All right, here we go again. That's very interesting. 2 of our dear participants of the roundtable say yes, and only 1 says no. That's very interesting to hear from the audience. So far, we have most of our audience have at some point thought that the AI scenario could lead to the Terminator movies future. Right, could be that the recent scandal with Sam Altman has provoked such thoughts, maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, thank you so much for the warm-up. I enjoyed thinking about the Roman Empire together with you. And now I would suggest that we move on to the main questions that myself iSpring team and the iSpring LinkedIn participants, iSpring LinkedIn followers have created for you to answer. Those are 4 questions, 4 main questions I hope we can cover. And I'll be asking you one by one. Maybe some questions I'll address 2 of you, the other questions I'll address 3 of you. So let's see how it goes. And the first one will be about the potential threats and opportunities for e-learning specialists in the age of AI. We'll start straight away. So I'd like to ask Heidi first, if that's okay. Would you please share your thoughts on what do you think are the potential threats and opportunities for e-learning specialists in the age of AI, Heidi?
Sure. So I think, first of all, the threats are just bad information, right? Like there's a lot of work left to do on verifying the accuracy of information. If you've ever tried to use an LLM or a large language model, like they're usually up to date to a certain point or something like that, right? There's also a lot of uncanny valley cringe stuff with like AI avatars and video and images and stock photo generation and things like that. If you've ever looked at the hands that AI generates, it's very super cringe. So it's not necessarily realistic. And then there's also the threat of copyright infringement. A lot of these AI programs are taking their input data from real artists and real creators. And there's also a lot of concern about the safety and security, as well as you might accidentally go against your company's policy on AI, right? But on the other hand, there's a lot of opportunity as well. So if we look outside of content creation, because I'm not a huge fan of AI for just pushing information out there in content creation, we can use it for efficiency, right? We can use it to automate processes that we use as learning and development professionals. We can use it to help generate ideas and brainstorm. A huge way that we can use it is to help with accessibility, help check our writing for accessibility, help check our graphics for accessibility, and also to kind of connect the different systems that we're using for learning so that we can have a more robust learning experience. So whether that's community, with courses, with virtual platforms, we have that ability to kind of connect things. But also in the way that Netflix uses it to individualize the learning and to suggest things based on whether it's our career path or our interests, like we can use it that way as well.
I would love to actually explore the opportunities more. So we'll probably have a chance to get back to them a little later. But I'd like to ask the same question to Taras now. Taras, would you be so kind to share your take on what are the main threats and opportunities for e-learning specialists? Thank you, Heidi, for giving this input.
Thank you, Chris, for the question. I'll start with the threats and opportunity that is connected, and everyone is talking about AI in the case of personalization, and they were also helping to work with diversity. And what e-learning specialists should understand that, okay, the data that I use to train AI really matters. And when I'm speaking about using some kind of AI, I should really think, okay, was these data sets really diverse? And are they not building some kind of a special kind of bubble or bias for these kind of learners? And the clear understanding of this is preventing me as a learning specialist thinking, oh, I am creating the personalized content, but actually not. And on the other hand, it can help me to really create personalized content or reshape the content that already existed. For me, is right now some kind of a balanced opportunity when I can say, okay, I will not create content from scratch, but I can take this book and create 5 different versions of the content for the different groups, for example, for the different countries, for the different ages. So the not understanding on how AI is really working in the case of the original data sets and how it makes the personalization is a threat, and understanding that it's an opportunity.
Okay. And Taras, if I may, quick follow-up on what you've just said, what if an e-learning professional is not aware of the biases that they might have in their head, and they simply don't read that the result they're receiving is already full of biases?
I think we should teach them about this awareness, what is really important, not how the modules work and from the maps perspective or from IT perspective, but thinking about AI from this ethical side and how it's really working, at understanding, okay, if people are living in communities, people living in groups, and when I am in my group, I think that everyone is thinking the same. But when we're speaking about AI, which can be global, I should understand that, okay, this kind of AI could think not like me, not like my group, and I should take it and put it on the table when I'm creating the content for the different people using this AI or using this AI to deliver my content.
Right. Well, I think we should probably thank AI for putting those questions on the table, right? A lot of them were just put outside somewhere into a drawer. All right, I'd like to move on. Thank you to Ross for sharing that. I'd like to ask Matt now, if that's okay, to move on to another question. Do you think that AI has the potential to make e-learning specialists and learners intellectually lazy? That's something that we've been hearing a lot, and on LinkedIn as well, there were comments like this. So do you think that we can, like, quote unquote, intellectually lazy people from e-learning would be the product of AI spread?
Thank you for this question, Chris, because I think this is a really interesting one. And I think, I think it just depends, like most tools, like a lot of things in life, they don't change you. They just kind of make you more of who you are, right? Very often they kind of highlight certain things. And so when I hear this question, I actually think, no, it's absolute, like, yes, I see the potential, but I think it's absolutely the reverse of this, because it gives all of us a companion to like back and forward ideas with and test things out on. And even if they're not, even if, as in the previous answers, they're maybe not as specialized in what we do, or they have the potential to drift, it's an opportunity for us to kind of uncover the gaps in our own knowledge, and we have to vet everything that the AI says. And so that, builds up our ability because we're vetting everything that they say. And so if anything, I think the true opportunity is that it's the opposite of this, in that it allows for much more opportunity for intellectual rigor, both for the individual and for the learners. Yes, used incorrectly, I 100% agree with this. But even something as simple as changing a multiple choice question into an open answer question that the AI judges the answer on, well, that right there has improved 95% of e-learning modules right there, just by getting rid of a simple multiple choice question and having the learner actually like type something into a box, so they actually have to think about it. So I would say, yes, the potential is there, but there is much more potential for the reverse of this.
Right. Thank you for giving us this very practical example. I think that resonates very well with the audience, because what we're really looking forward in the AI discussion is actually gaining something tangible out of that for all of us, the learners and the e-learning specialists. So I appreciate that. And I'll also move on to Taras and ask the same question. I'm specifically interested in e-learning specialists as well. Do you think that the AI and the way it develops at the moment in the sphere of education could potentially make e-learning specialists intellectually lazy?
And I want to start answering this question a little bit from the other side. So I think Matt answered really deeply about this specific question, but let us think about emotional intellect. Yeah, will the AI make the e-learning specialists and the learners more emotional intellect lazy? Because when I'm talking with a chatbot, when I'm talking with the learners or something that looks like a coach, I can really forget and miss that there is the real people outside. They have some feelings and they have some reactions on the learning, and this is really affects the learning. If I'm upset, if something is deeply wrong with the information that I'm getting, I just cannot perform in that way. And for me, the main challenge in the building of the new way of AI in e-learning is how really don't to miss this emotional and intellectual emotional intellect aspect, because it really matters. It's about the motivation, it's about the trust, it's about the building relationships. How to do it in the AI-driven environment. How not to forget about this piece of the learning. And this can be a threat that the teachers or learners can think, okay, everything is AI now, and I just don't need to think it about. But it's false. Yeah, I really do need to think about while I'm learning and teaching.
Right. That's sort of a question of a chicken and an egg, because what we are doing partially through AI is getting rid of a lot of manual labor for educationists, making sure that we are focusing on more intellectually demanding activities, thus putting aside a lot of human-to-human interaction, making sure that we don't waste human resources in vain. And by doing so, we ultimately end up in a bot-rich environment where humans are very rare, and indeed having higher chances of losing the emotional intelligence, which, to tell the truth, is not something every person is already can really boast of, I would say, right? Let's be very honest. Heidi, do you think, thank you to Russ for that. Heidi, do you think you can add up on that, or shall we move to another question?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of this question is the potential, right? And I think everybody kind of touched on that. And like, of course, it has the potential to make people intellectually lazy, especially if we're talking, Matt gave a great example of turning a multiple choice question into an open-ended question. But we see a lot of ed tech companies trying to market to e-learning specialists right now that you can put a wall of text into their AI tool and it'll spit out a module and multiple choice quiz questions. And I think that that's a really huge miss. And I think that's where this potential becomes really dangerous, because that's where it can make people more intellectually lazy if they just copy paste all of their things into something that's going to spit out something else.
Yeah, it's true. On the other hand, just an idea that popped up in my mind was that a lot of this multiple choice question centered paradigm has been rolling around making educational environment accessible for people who are native speakers and non-native speakers, and making it easier for everybody to participate, right? And now we're having the drawback effect in that. So thank you for highlighting this. I'd like to move on to the next question, though, and I'd like to ask you, Heidi, maybe we can continue with you here. I think that's particularly interesting and relevant considering the experience you have. How can e-learning specialists ensure that the AI-powered tools and platforms are used ethically, considering that we've already touched that, but I'm sure there are many more layers to that ethical dilemmas that stand in front of us?
I think I have a unique perspective because I used to teach information literacy to college students. And so that's all about how to decide whether the information that you consume on the internet is true or not. And so I come to this question with that perspective in mind. And I think there's multiple things that we need to do, right? Like, I think we need to wait before we use a tool. That's a big thing, because we have to wait to see what that tool's reputation is going to be, right? And how legislation is going to start managing these tools, and to make sure that they're being used ethically, not just in terms of how they're trained and the input, but also in terms of how they secure our data, right? A lot of companies are implementing policies that you can't use certain tools because people who work at those companies are putting proprietary company information into those tools without knowing what they're going to do with that information, right? And so I think you have to take time to research that tool and that product. I think you have to work with your IT team a lot of times. I know sometimes they can be more of an obstacle than a helper, but it's really important because they're the ones that set the policies around these things, right? And you also just have to look at how they are training and like looking at the data input. Like, what are they using, to Taras's point about bias, right? Or about the artists whose work are being used to create these things. So I think it's kind of a multifaceted approach that you really have to just do a lot of research.
Right. Thank you, Heidi. Sounds very important, the idea that you're sharing about making sure we consider the opinion of professionals in the area when it comes to legislation and regulations, because oftentimes we have people who are making those legislations and regulations who are completely unaware of the actual technology, of the actual implications. So Matt, I'd like to jump over to you and ask a similar question. We can continue on the same topic, but judging by what Heidi has been saying, time becomes an issue. We need to wait and see if technology is something that proves to be reliable ethically. But how can we wait when the whole world is chasing and is trying to introduce a new technology as quickly as possible? Because this is what makes us progress faster. That's what makes us better. That's what makes us earn more. That's what makes us win the economic race and whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's 100% right. Everything that Heidi said. It really is important to take a minute and wait on it. And there's lots of bigger picture things that like organizations can do. But if we bring it back to what the individual can do and what all of us can do day to day, I think there is still a lot of honestly just kind of being honest with yourself about what you're trying to achieve. If you're using ChatGPT or whatever other tool to just gather information, then that's fine. You're helping it do your research a little bit faster, distill down some bullet points, you're doing it in your head. But if you're going in there and saying, can you write an outline of the kind of course that Blanchard would make on leadership, or give me a summary of SI2, SL2, or give me a breakdown of this book and the best questions that I could use inside of a course. Like clearly you're trying to crib off of somebody else's notes, that's, you're just using it wasn't, so there are things that weren't practical for us to do as individuals because there was simply too much information. And though you could have done it, chances are you weren't going to, because you'd have to just read so much in order for you to do it. AI does make that faster. And so I think, yes, to all of the organizational level things, government level things, but then as an individual, just be honest with yourself about what you're trying to achieve. And anytime you're trying to say, make something that sounds like this thing this other person makes, or looks like something this other person makes, if we're honest with ourselves, we know like that's not ethical. Like that's not what we should be doing. So I think as long as we can be honest with ourselves about that, then we're probably going to be going down a decent path.
Right. Thank you, Matt. I'm now very intrigued to hear what Taras has to say. I'm processing Matt's ideas. Though, Taras, if I may twist the same question for you a little bit and try to consider the same question from the perspective of developing countries and developing organizations, which very often lack resources to pursue with the normal pace of development, that be their curriculum, or that be a new program to train someone, where you can find a lot of skill shortage in different markets. Oftentimes, ethical questions are somewhere at the back door, very far away, when you really need to compensate for the development that you're missing in the recent years. It very often happens that ethical questions are not even posed. So I'd like to hear your stance on that, because I know you've been working with developing markets as well, and know a part of this attitude.
Mm-hmm. I think I will answer in two parts. First, I would think you meant about the word of honesty. Yeah, so be honest, understanding what can be proved and what can be not, and be honest and clear of understanding what kind of mechanisms of proving of the content can really be built. Yeah, so if I'm had ever not read the book and I'm asking some takeaways from this book, can I really find some problems in this answer or not? Yeah, and this is the main question. Can I really prove that what is AI doing is right or wrong? I think it's a very simple question that can be put it on the table even in developing countries. And the second thing, and this is a little bit changing of the perspective about ethics and also understanding the biases. So you should think that you can use one AI to proofread or cross-validate another AI, and I think maybe even in the next year we'll see some kind of a digital twins of diverse learners. And when I'm creating the kind of content or kind of course, I can ask, okay, pretend that you can be 10 different categories of learners. Try to read from this perspective. Try to validate all this stuff. And I think building the validated digital twins of the learners with the different perspectives, and some kind of a building the digital twin of Ethiopian 12 years boy. Yeah, how he read the content, what he knows, what he does not, can be some kind of a solution, helping to fight with that. Yeah, not 100%, but this can be a solution in the middle.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you, Taras. I'm now puzzled whether we can actually teach AI to do perspective taking when we are ourselves so bad in that. Anyway, thank you so much. I would like to now welcome our dear participants in the chat, our attendees, to also bring on their questions that we might have a chance to ask our e-learning gurus here in this panel. I see a debate happening in the chat and people are exchanging opinions, and that is very pleasing to see that the topics we're discussing here are touching and they are really hot for the participants. While I welcome you to leave your comments and your questions in the chat, I'll move on to the next question that I have in mind. The question sounds as follows. How can e-learning specialists ensure that AI-generated content is accurate and properly vetted? And I think this is what the discussion in the chat also goes around. How can we ensure this accuracy? Taras has already started touching upon this question. Matt, would you like to jump in on this?
I think I have a simple thought of this, and don't take this the wrong way, but like the glib answer or simple answer, I would say, is just treat anything an AI creates like an intern made it. You know, like I think that's often the question that gets asked. You see this in like law firms of like, oh, like we can't use AI to generate anything because what if it puts some weird line in the contract and it, you know, messes us up? But that's always been true. It's just different who's doing that first draft. Chances are a law firm always had some, you know, first-year law student doing that first draft, and it was not good. It was making lots of mistakes because they just didn't have the context. I always think this in regards to AI, you know, since I used to be an instructor pilot, I'm very used to having a person, an untrained person next to me and watching them behave. And when I drive in self-driving cars, it feels exactly the same way. The AI that's trying to drive that car is acting like a novice driver that just doesn't know. They're very hesitant, they're very unsure. And so the same is true with all these tools. And so if you just, the AI isn't the super intelligence, the AI isn't the guru, the AI is, if anything, at best, the inexperienced intern. And if you treat the things that you get that way, that helps you give the proper eye to what it's producing.
Right. Makes me think of our yesterday's session with Valerie Myers, who was saying that AI is not your solution, it's your partner to the solution, which is a very smart line in my personal opinion. Thanks, Matt, for that. That's a great metaphor, seeing your AI co-pilot as a intern co-pilot rather than just a proper co-pilot, right? I know Taras is working a lot on co-pilots, but before I jump on asking Taras, I noticed that Heidi was very much in agreement with what Matt was saying, so I'd like to yield the floor to Heidi.
Yeah, I think that Matt brings up a really good point, and my thought was, I've been thinking that there's probably going to be at some point a temptation to get rid of our SMEs because they're sometimes so difficult to interact with, they're difficult to get feedback from. And so I think the temptation might be to use AI generated content in place of our SMEs. But I think really what Matt's pointing out here is that they become even more important, because sometimes we can't answer those questions that the content is putting out. We can't say, I don't know if this is good or not, but that's why we have our subject matter experts. That's why we have them available to us to vet that content to help us. And then even more simplistic, if we have a new tool or have something that we're trying for the first time, ask it something that you do know and see how it handles that, right?
Right. So thank you very much, Heidi. That's true. That makes perfect sense. Taras, would you like to also continue this idea or bring in a new perspective?
Yeah, and I'll try to be quite simple in this answer. When we are building compilers, when we are building such types of the system, we are also thinking about the flows of validation and the way how to validate it very simple. And I think the simplest way to build some kind of validation flow is just a checklist. So when you're building some kind of a AI-powered course creation flow, AI-powered course article flow, you need to have the checklist what exactly you or your SMEs need to check to at least do 90% validation of what is working. And the second thing you should think about when you're building this checklist is, okay, I will not be 100% sure, and then I will need 1,000 questions. So what is affordable for me? What is the level of confidence I'm okay with? Okay, is it 90%? Okay, is it 99, 99? Okay, and then how can I build the checklist that will help me to reach this level of confidence? Yeah, and this is very applied thing. I can always do that, at least in some perspective of the quality. So think about the flows, control the confidence and understand the confidence you need, and then just use the checklist to validate that what you're doing.
Thank you, Taras. I wonder if you have those checklists written down somewhere, your own checklist that you can share with our participants later on, because I'm sure we'll have such a question in the chat. That would be fantastic to have them. And I thank you very much for answering those questions. And I have one more before we have a final round of little comments and summaries from you guys. If you feel like something is left unsaid, but you really want to share that. A quick question from me. I've been working recently quite a lot with newbies in e-learning area, with the ones who have not been very experienced in creating content. And these people are very, very excited about using AI as their co-pilots. They're very excited. They see that, oh, such an easy job to do now. Fantastic. I can really quickly learn and jump into this train that moves into the abyss, whatever. Anyway, so my question to you is, what kind of one recommendation or tip would you give to a new person in the area of e-learning who is very tempted to delegate a lot of their work to AI? What would be your number one recommendation for these people to do in a practical matter? Let's start with Heidi, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I think my one recommendation would be to make sure that whatever you're using the AI tool for is aligned with the learning outcome, right? I think that that's a big one, because I think a lot of times we are simply thinking of it as pushing information, and that's not really our job as e-learning specialists, right? Like, we're trying to impact performance or behavior or processes in some way. And so I think we need to keep that in mind when we're using these tools. And I think if we bring it back to the objectives and the learning outcome, that it'll help a lot.
Right. That's very simple, but yet very effective. That's true. Always referring to this, what do you call it, true north of yours. Right. Taras, would you like to also say a few words about that? One tip that you have for the newbies who are very, very excited to try AI?
I think I want to emphasize the approach that Heidi said when we were starting. Please think it about the reputation of the tool. So when you want to start using a tool, okay, please check 2 minutes, adding some ratings or votes about these tools, and please read not only positive comments, but also negative comments. What problems are users getting that they are minusing the tool? Yeah, so just you need to clear understanding, and you're not alone in the internet. Yeah, there are millions of people that were actually trying to use the tool. Or if you're the first one who will use the tool, please aware of that results can be just unpredictable.
Unexpected, yeah. You're the first risk taker, right? Who's there to.
And are you really want to be this kind of first risk taker, and why?
Right, right. Are you ready to be the one who tries this new toy, or maybe not a toy, whatever it turns out to be? Right. Thank you, Taras. And Matt, do you have any tip for our newbies?
I think the only thing I would say is other than what's already been said, is make sure you're building in some time for you to actually get your hands dirty and kind of do it all from scratch as if you didn't have the tool. Like, I get that it's busy. We're all busy and we're trying to get a lot done, but it's at least how we learn. It's how the human brain learns, is by actually getting in there and doing it. And with so much of AI in its present generation, it's all about being able to ask the right questions and have it figure out what capability of the AI you need to access. And if you haven't spent some time working without the AI, then you might not know what questions to ask. So just that's what I would suggest, is you definitely use it, definitely experiment, but also make sure to build in some time where you're working without it.
Yeah, so many of us just hope that we'll never need to put our hands onto something to have them dirty again. But yeah. Here you go. Again, same story, same old story. Okay, thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Now we are moving very closely to our last stop on that, and we'll be wrapping up very soon. So I just welcome all of you guys to share one or two last thoughts that you have. We've touched several topics very superficially. I know we've been very, very short on time, but maybe some last idea that you want to share with the attendees, the current ones and the future ones who will be watching that in the recording. Let's say, Taras, would you like to start?
Yeah, I want to say some words about the idea. So when you are thinking using AI, please try to use it to be more human, not less human in what you're teaching. I think that is main takeaway of me watching what is happening. Yeah, please use it to empower your thing that you can do as a human being, not as a AI bot. Something like that.
Right. Thank you very much, Taras. That's very powerful. Sounds great. Matt?
I think from the one thing I would say is just, if your job isn't bringing consultative value, you may not have a job for very long. I think thinking about, especially in the e-learning world where we can define our jobs as the usage of tools, when definitely, as Heidi always points out, our job is to achieve an outcome through using tools, not to be good at using the tool. And so if right now you're defining your job as using tools, that you're going to struggle, versus us all getting past that and being like, oh no, I need to figure out what the outcomes are that I need to try to achieve in my role.
Right. Thank you so much. That's also very helpful. And Heidi, would you like to circle it up?
Yeah, I'm just going to expand on Matt's point a little bit and just remind everyone that Matt said tools plural, right? I know sometimes we're limited with resources when we're working on these teams and we are providing a service and not really tied directly to any kind of revenue. And so, but what we can do is treat them like a tool set, right? You can't buy a torque wrench and fix an entire car, right? So we have to have more than one tool, and we have to think about how those tools work together to do exactly what Matt said, achieve an outcome.
Right. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your input, Matt, Taras, and Heidi. I just would love to remind our participants, our attendees, that I'm sure you'll be learning much more from our speakers if if you join them on LinkedIn, if you friend them on LinkedIn and follow them, because I'm sure they are sharing a lot of helpful content. I've seen their pages. They look very impressive. And especially for those who are interested in AI, I think that would be an asset to have them on your feed. So thank you so much again for this. I hope that you can stay with us a little longer and enjoy the next sessions, the next speakers, and maybe support the discussion in the chat, because we do have a very active and supporting chat. Isn't that the case? Right. Yes. I see a lot of words of support and thanks that this was incredibly helpful. And the participants loved the roundtable format, and they also shared their insights and give their own perspective. So I think that was definitely worth it. And by rephrasing Heidi's, I'll probably just say that we have fulfilled our learning objective. I think we've been quite thought-provoking, right, with this roundtable. Thank you so much, guys. Have a very good rest
Thank
of
you,
the
Chris.
day.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. See you. I'm not saying goodbye.